So, what if an AI could learn to actually think for itself? I don't mean just mimicking us humans, but discovering totally new ways of reasoning. Well, a new model called DeepSeek-R1 is doing exactly that. And honestly, it's starting to reshape what we thought was even possible with AI. Okay, let's just dive right into the proof because this is pretty wild. If you look at the chatbot arena leaderboard, that's where AIs get ranked based on what humans prefer, you'll see DeepSeek-R1. It's an open source model, and it's sitting right there, tied for the top spot with giants like OpenAI and Google. That's a massive win for the open source community. And we're not just talking about being a good chatbot. On Code Forces, which is this global stage for super tough programming challenges, DeepSeek-R1 shows off its raw brain power. The average human competitor, they're in a lower percentile. This AI, it hits the 96.3rd percentile. It is outperforming the vast majority of expert human coders. So this brings us to the real head-scratcher here. How in the world did it learn to reason so well when it wasn't taught by a human in the first place? To get that answer, we first need to understand a really fundamental problem in how we train AI today. The researchers behind this call it the human thinking bottleneck. So traditionally, AI learns in what's called a supervised way. It's like we give it a recipe. We show it a problem and then a human-written step-by-step solution, and we just tell it, hey, do this. But DeepSeek-R1 uses something different, reinforcement learning. It's less like following a recipe and more like being a chef who experiments, discovering what works through pure trial and error. So you might be asking, what's so bad about learning from us humans? Well, the researchers point out a few big issues. For one, it's super slow and expensive to create all those step-by-step guides. But here's the real kicker. It puts a ceiling on the AI's potential. If it only learns from us, it can never be smarter than us. It's completely blocked from discovering truly new, non-human ways of thinking. And this is exactly where reinforcement learning, or RL, comes in. It's the key to smashing through that bottleneck. It's all about learning without a human teacher looking over its shoulder. So, what is reinforcement learning really? Okay, think about learning to play a video game. You don't usually read a manual, right? You just play. You try stuff. And when you succeed, you get points. A reward. So you learn to do more of what gets you points. It's the same for the AI. It gets rewarded for getting the right answer, not for following some pre-written process. It learns what works, not just what's been done before. Okay, so here's how the loop works for DeepSeek-R1. It gets a problem, and then it just generates a whole bunch of different ways to try and solve it. A separate checker then looks only at the final answer. If the answer is right, the line of thinking that got it there gets a reward. You do this millions of times, and the model just gets better. It learns the most effective ways to think, all on its own. But okay, that's the theory. Does this actually work in practice? Well, let's look at the aha moment and see the proof in action. Check this out. On the AME, which is a notoriously difficult high school math competition, the model's progress is just staggering. At the start of training, its accuracy was just over 15%. By the end, it skyrocketed to nearly 78%. This isn't just memorizing facts. This is the AI genuinely learning how to solve complex problems. But here's the part that really blows my mind. The model didn't just get better at spitting out right answers. The researchers started seeing these sophisticated new behaviors just emerge. It started reflecting on its own work, verifying its steps, even exploring other ways to solve a problem if it got stuck. It was never programmed to do any of this. It just figured it out. And that led to this one incredible instance that the researchers called an aha moment. While it was working through a math problem, the AI literally wrote in its own thought process. Wait, that's an aha moment I can flag here. It actually recognized its own mistake and changed its approach. I mean, that's an incredible display of self-awareness for an AI. So this ability to self-correct and discover new ways to solve problems is a massive leap forward. Let's talk about what this could mean for the future of artificial intelligence. One of the biggest things here is something called distillation. Basically, you can take all the incredible reasoning power from this giant model and distill it or shrink it down into much smaller, more efficient open source models. Now, just for perspective, on that tough AME math test, the baseline GPT-4o score is about 9%. A tiny model distilled from DeepSeek-R1 gets almost 29%. A bigger one, an incredible 72.6% accuracy. And the best part is that the team behind this made these powerful, smaller models open source.
This means it's not just a tool for a few giant corporations anymore. It's democratizing access. Researchers and developers all over the world can now build on this amazing technology. Now, of course, it's not perfect. The researchers are very open about its limitations. It can be inefficient and sometimes overthinks simple problems. It's also a bit sensitive to how you ask it questions. It can sometimes mix up English and Chinese, and it still needs to get better at using external tools. But these are all things they're actively working on.
So all of this really leads us to one final profound question that this technology forces us all to think about. What happens when AI can solve problems in ways that we can't even begin to imagine? When it develops ways of thinking that are completely alien to us, but better?
This is for entertainment purposes only.